Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Mr. Arsenal podcast for another preview of our season, basically our third game of the season. Liverpool this Monday come in, and obviously, as you can see, you've got James here. How you doing, James?
Very well, thank you. Good to see you both. Evening all.
And debut on the channel, Paul. How you doing, Paul?
Very well, thanks, mate. Yeah, thanks very much for having me.
No problem at all. And obviously, Richard will be on. He's on his way. So as soon as he joins backstage, I'll put him into the stream, guys. But yeah, first big test of the season, you could say, a competitive one, because we have played Liverpool a few weeks ago in the Community Shield, but this is for points, and it's at Anfield, sort of a bogey ground, if you say. Even through the Wenger era, it was even when we started, there was always a ground we hate going to. 9 times out of 10, we got our asses handed to us. But do you think this could be Monday night could be a change, start of a change there, in the sense of it won't be such a if we were to lose, it won't be a batting, and possibly we get a point, even a point out of Anfield, being there's no because there's no fans there either side.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely going to be different. Like you say, the last few times we've been there, it's been pretty painful. But for me, any result is a bit of a bonus. You know, for me, it's all about the performance and just seeing how we really kind of face up to the best side in Europe at the moment. Really, them and Bayern Munich. But I think for me, yeah, it's just about the performance. Let's just see if we can really kind of push them. Obviously, we play quite well against them in the Community Shield. I'm not too sure how much of that was obviously pre-season for Liverpool, and we'll see. But for me, it's about the performance as much as the result.
It's not just in my sense of peace, because obviously we look back to that Community Shield as well. Apart from Henderson, I think that's their full strength team, and we didn't have a full strength team out, and we gave them problems. So I'm optimistic going into Monday, because we have a more full of strength team compared to that game. And let's not forget, we've also played them previously as well in the return of the Premier League just before the end of it. And again, hook by a crook, we got a result there. So
yeah,
it's sort of Arteta's. It seems like Arteta's found a way of learned for me at Man City. He's learned things that Klopp does at Liverpool, and he's sort of taken it on at Arsenal. He's sort of tactically twice now outdone him. And I see the performances that he's having with this team. The majority of this team he inherited from Unai Emery as well. It's such a vast improvement. Again, it gives me absolutely buzzing. It gives you some. I'm not going into this game thinking, "Oh God, I'm going to watch my team getting better here." I'm actually optimistic we can actually get a result, because of what Arteta's put in place and the players that are buying into it. We've got a captain that's staying for the first time in fucking God knows how long. We've got a captain that's staying put. Yeah. Martinelli signed a new extension to his deal, and Saka signed a new extension as well during the summer. I think but out of all of them, I think the biggest one was obviously keeping our captain on board. That not being a sign, but for me, it's a signal of intent for once, because obviously, as I've mentioned, we've seen our captains come and go since Vieira in 2005. Since was it Henry, then Gilberto got it, then Gallas got it, Fabregas got it, but every single one of them, one way or another, left the club within a space of 12 months of having the armband. Where now he committed to another 3. He's committed to another 3 years, but his reasons behind committing as well is because of the manager, and he's believing in the system what Arteta's putting in place. I mean, Richard, I know. How are you doing, by the way?
Yeah, not bad at all, mate.
What are you hoping? What are you looking forward to on Monday? Do you think we can get a result, or do you think I'm being too optimistic?
No, I mean, to be honest with you, I think it's probably a good time for us to be playing Liverpool. Sorry, because I don't think they've been as into their rhythm yet as they might well get later on in the season. I think maybe the pre-season hasn't been a long pre-season, has it? And they've not looked quite as good, have they, in the opening couple of games in the Premier League? I think we're playing really well. I think we're looking sharp. We're looking good. We look as though we've got a plan for every game. Arteta's got a different he seems to have different ways of playing against different opposition. And I think away from home against a team that's going to have the ball, as we proved at the end of last season, that kind of suits us. And I actually really think that we can go there with a plan. And I actually think we're capable of getting a result. I'm not going to say we are going to get a result or anything like that, because, you know, football doesn't work like that. But I know we're going to go there now with a plan. We're going to set up in a way that we can win the game. And if we're going to get opportunities in the game, what we've got to do is take those opportunities, and we've got to try to limit Liverpool to as few as possible. And if we do that, we've got a great chance. And I don't see why we can't. Arteta now knows how to get results in these games. He's proven that already. I think Klopp's actually going to be, and Liverpool will be slightly apprehensive on Monday, because we've got the better of them in the last two games. Arteta seems to have some sort of plan that we didn't have previously. I mean, we've got to Anfield before. We've been miles too open. We've got ripped to pieces. It's happened time after time after time. And that's what we're used to doing. That's probably what Liverpool are used to doing. Whereas now on Monday, that's not going to happen. If Liverpool are going to beat us on Monday, they're going to have to work hard, and they're going to have to earn it and deserve it. They're not going to be given anything on Monday. And equally, we're not going to be given anything either. But it's a bit of a change, isn't it, for recent years when we've gone there? And I'm looking forward to it, because I'm not going into that game expecting us to, how many are we going to lose by, like we normally do when we play Liverpool away. It's more like, actually, I'm quite excited that we could come away with a result. We could come away with and imagine what that's going to do for the rest of our season. If we play well at Anfield, if we get a result, even if it's a draw, let's be honest, a draw won't be a bad result. They've not lost at home for about 3 years, have they, in the Premier League? A long time. You know, so to win there, I think would be a massive ask. I mean, if we managed to win there, that would just be unbelievable, wouldn't it? But say we come away with a draw, we play well, we get a draw, then to me, that sets us up not only for the rest of the season, but it makes other teams in the Premier League look at us and think, you know what, this Arsenal team is serious. And we've not even finished buying our new players yet. We've not even finished building this squad. And if we can go to Anfield and get a result with what we've got at the moment, imagine what we're going to do when we do get 2 or 3 new players, and whether it's now, whether it's in January or whenever it is, building on what we've got now. There's no limit to what we can achieve with this manager, with what he's doing. And I think Monday is going to be a massive, he's going to show the world really exactly how far we've come in such a short time, and where we can go in the future as well. And I'm really excited about it at all. So I don't think you're being overly optimistic at all. I actually think we can get something from that game. But it's more for me about how we play. Even if we lose by the odd goal, say we lose 2-1 or we lose 3-2 or something like that, whatever it might be, or 1-0. If we put in a really good performance and we're competitive throughout the whole 90 minutes, Liverpool come out of that game knowing that they've had a game. You know, not many teams go to Anfield and give them a game recently, do they? Most teams roll over, they steamroll. It's only really Man City that generally have managed to do it in the last couple of years. So if we go there and do that, and give them a real game, and even if we lose, I'll still come out of that and say, you know what, look at the improvements that we've made over the last year or two, when we'd go and get hammered in them games. So that's what I want to look at, the performance more than anything else. But I think we can get a result as well, and that would just be amazing, wouldn't it? Imagine winning that game. Imagine if we can win, go to Anfield and win. Just imagine they've not lost at home for about nearly 4 years or whatever it is. You know what I mean? Go there and win that game. Literally, it would be unbelievable, wouldn't it? I think that'd be like us winning the Premier League. It'd be as good as that, really. The feeling that it would give, just for a short period of time, obviously, until we go there Thursday and probably get beat again. But temporarily, it'd be a great feeling, wouldn't it? You know, to win a game like that, where we haven't won away, have we, against any top 6 team, have we, for nearly 6 years? So to go and do that against the champions as well, with the record that they've got at home. I mean, I think they're worried. I think Liverpool are worried about playing us. I really do. Listening to Jurgen Klopp as well, I do think they're apprehensive. They know they're going to have a tough game, and they know they're going to have to be on their ball to beat us. And that's a good feeling from us, I think, from an Arsenal fans' point of view. That's a great feeling, is it, to know that Liverpool are actually a little bit apprehensive about playing us at Anfield. I mean, they probably never have been for years, have they? When was the last time they probably felt like that? Do you know what I mean? And it's great. I'm loving it. And obviously now we're going to lose 4-0 and then I'll look stupid. But at this moment in time, I'm feeling optimistic and good. So I'm gonna be optimistic certainly until 10 o'clock on Monday night. Anyway,
I think we're right to be optimistic because you've said we haven't finished making our business. Unlike the team that's playing now from West London that are getting battered, by the way, against West Brom away. And obviously they lost last week with 10 men and things like that. I mean, I think.
Yeah, yes, just sitting out of the corner of my eye.
that's still 2 points dropped against a newly promoted team, so I'll take it as a battering still. listen, they can celebrate in their Crystal Palace kit all they like, but no, when you compare them to the spending of Chelsea, and they didn't really do anything against Chelsea, Liverpool last week at the Bridge. And I think another reason why Liverpool and Klopp are so on edge about playing us, because we played them again recently, not just a Community Shield, but as I said, back into last season.
Yeah.
And both times we've got a result against them, and we've frustrated them. We've got something in a way that hasn't allowed them to play the way they think we're going to play. And again, that's not putting them on edge a bit. So, checking for VAR apparently. I don't know. But James, what are your thoughts about Monday?
I think Rich makes some good points, but I think Bielsa and Leeds have shook them up. I don't think they expected a promoted team to go there on the opening day of the season to Anfield and give them a game and put the frighteners up them. And I think that's kind of shook them up a little bit. And I think if we can take a little bit of heart from what Leeds did, because I think it was only Burnley last season that went to Anfield and come away with a point. And then obviously Liverpool, with what happened with the season being restarted, and obviously going on to win the league, I don't think they expected somebody their next opponent of a new season to come at them like they did. So I think it's kind of frightened them a little bit. So we've got to kind of capitalise on that. I think the dynamic of the week as well. You know, we played them on Monday night, and we played them on Thursday. And I personally think Thursday, although lots of people like to write off the League Cup, I think the League Cup is our best chance for trophy this year. I think you've got to be very lucky to win the FA for a 15th time. You know, we've done brilliantly well to extend our record and win it 14 times. It's brilliant, especially under Arteta's tutelage. I think the Europa League, you've only got to look at the qualifiers to see what teams have already been eliminated, and we haven't even reached the group stage. Besiktas went out midweek; they got beat by Leo Arthur, and you only have to go through the list to see the seasoned teams that have been eliminated already. So, even though lots of people like to kind of dumb down the Europa League, there's some really good teams in it. So I think Thursday represents our best chance of winning a trophy, and you know I want to win on Thursday as well as on Monday, of course. I think I'll be a bit ambitious to think we'll win both, but I don't think a draw is out of the question. I think maybe a 1-1 or a 2-2, and you know it's a long old season. I mean, you see tonight, you know, West Brom at home to Chelsea. Everybody expecting Chelsea to win. They were 3-0 down, and you know if you've only got to look at the teams in the Premier League this year. You know, and the managers of the teams. You know, there's quality all over the shop. There is no particular team that you could cut or drift. There's quality everywhere. All the games come thick and fast. We've done well to win our first two opening games, although some may say we should do. But you still got to get the points on the board. And I think it's a good time to play Liverpool. But you know, we've got to be a bit conservative. We've kind of had their number with the Charity Shield in the back end of the last season at the Emirates, but you know they're league champions for a reason. So I think it could well end up to be a scoring draw. Yeah,
as I said, I'd quite happy to take a point. Before the season even started, I looked at the first three fixtures. I said we can come away with 7 points out of 9. I'll snap everyone's hand off. That'd be a fantastic start for us, considering where we were this time last season, in the sense of things such as it weren't going right for us. Players being played out of position, and then obviously what goes on in the next couple of weeks' time, and this time that last year with Jacques situation. There seems to be more of a unity within the players as well. Everyone's happy with each other.
This time,
fighting. Go on, James.
This time last year, Ryan, we'd won our first 2 games as well. This time last year, we won away at Newcastle and won at home to Burnley, and it was the Watford game where the wheels started to come off, if you like. And I still see a lot of people talking about Unai Emery when the man. It'll be almost a year soon that he's left the club, and you know we're in a good position now, and you got to move forward. You know,
exactly.
It was always victory through harmony.
Yeah, I'm not trying to dig at Unai Emery. I'm just saying there's a clear difference. There's this harmony between whatever was going on. There's clear disharmony. It was affecting the results. Whereas this year, whatever Arteta's done, hats off to him because he's got the players all on the same on the same page, all working together. Anyone's got any issues, any attitudes, he ain't playing them, and he's literally not. They might be training, but they're not actually playing on the bench. I.e., Guendouzi and Mesut Ozil, our highest earning player on our club, can't even get on our bench since lockdown, pretty much, apart from two occasions. But he can't even get on the pitch. And things. So it's them little things where it's like you take the no nonsense vibe he gives off. I appreciate, because there's something I've wanted for my manager to go. You're playing crap. You're not playing, or you're giving me lip. You're not playing. You're going to go and play with, going to train with reserves and things like that. We haven't had that for so long. It's all been like a hands-off approach sort of thing from the manager in recent years, and yeah, it's just I'm just optimistic about what he's doing.
Yeah, I think
I long hope it continues, because I'm actually every week match day, be it a cup game or the week actual Premier League games. I'm actually looking forward to watching them, even though we're not going to be there.
All I would say about James's point about last year, the first 2 games that we won under Unai Emery, we did obviously, but did anybody feel as though that was the start of something better? It was more like we were fortunate to win both them games. We hadn't played well in either of them particularly, and it was like no one was necessarily surprised when it started to crumble soon after that. Whereas this year, we've won our first 2 games. Yeah, West Ham wasn't great. Let's not kid ourselves. But it's not just about that. It's about the way we finished last season as well, and what Arteta's doing. And it's completely different to Emery. I never ever felt last year, even though we won our first 2 games, that we were going to be any other than just, battling at best for the top 4 again, if even that. Because, I wasn't optimistic about the season particularly, even despite them 2 wins. Whereas this season, we've won our first 2 games. We've won away at Leicester in the League Cup. And the whole mentality of the whole club is completely different now to what it was last year. And it's not just literally about results. Yeah, we've got the same results if you want to look at it like that, and we have. But it's more about the whole ethos of the club now is completely different. And I think everybody involved with Arsenal, from the fans all the way through the club right up to the top now, everything's different. It feels different. It almost feels like a different club to what it did even 6 months ago. Well, maybe a bit longer than 6 months ago, but obviously at the turn of the year, it feels completely different now. And Arteta's not only just Arteta, let's give other people as well behind the scenes credit, because a lot of things have changed, haven't they, at the club? Not just the manager. That's been the biggest change, obviously, but a lot of stuff behind the scenes as well now. And to me, we're in a completely different place to where we were at the start of last season, a completely different place. And I say it's almost like we're a different club almost completely, because we almost are, aren't we? With all the changes behind the scenes, the coaching staff's different, the manager's different. A lot of the players are still the same, but they don't look the same. They don't look the same players, do they? They look totally different. They look revitalised, every single one of them. And that to me is the biggest difference. And even if we lose to Liverpool again, even if we, lose 2 or 3 games in the next few games, that's not going to change the long term, the path that we're on long term. It's not necessarily going to be a quick change, is it? Let's hope it is. I'm optimistic that it can be, but if realistically, it probably isn't going to be, is it? But we're in a far better place now than we were after two games last season, and hopefully after another 10 games this season we'll be in an even better place than we were at the same point last year, where we were mid-table and things were pretty much going completely in the wrong direction. And you can't see that happening this year, can you? You can see us losing games, but you can't see it all falling apart like that. You can see a plan in place. You can see the way the club's moving forward, and that's what excites me. And this season would be fantastic if we can get these signings in before the end of next week. Then I'd be really, really optimistic that this can be a special season for us. If we don't, and it maybe takes a bit longer to get these new players in, then it might take a bit longer for us to get to that level. But we're not far off now. You can see, and I think Monday night will really show exactly how close we are to the top teams now. And I don't think we're that far away. Win or lose that game, we're gonna come out of that at 10 o'clock on Monday night, and we're gonna know that we are back competing again with the top teams in this country. Whether we can do it over 38 games over the full season, we'll see. But we're certainly competitive again. Now we're going to be competitive this season, I think, in every game that we play.
I think the biggest thing for me, and you touched on it there, Richard, is the mentality. The mentality throughout the whole club. I don't see you see a group of players out there that believe they can go out there and win games, whereas before last season, you can go back numerous years and say that wasn't the case. You see a team out there that he picks fully on merit, that he believes are the best 11 players to go out there and win a game. And those 11 players go out there, you can see that they believe that they can pick up points. They can compete with anyone. And I'm completely on board with what Arteta's doing and agree with all of you guys, really, that it's as much about the performance as it is about the result. Any result that we can get. I'm as optimistic as you guys are about getting a result, but it's as much about the performance and just seeing where we are and how much more work we've got to put in. But the trajectory is brilliant. We're on the right path for sure.
Yeah,
well, exactly. Especially when up till last week, when obviously I keep going back to it, when Chelsea played Liverpool, they were getting hyped up with a potential title challenger this season, things like that. And then after the game was finished, actually, you know what? So everyone's holding, obviously, because Liverpool are where they are. If you can get a result or performance, put a performance in against them, suddenly your stock goes up a bit, and you're sort of then put on a pedestal of, well, if you can do that against this lot, consistently, you can do that consistently against the lesser teams, so to speak. No disrespect to them, but yeah, if we lose on Monday, but we, as Richard said, you guys said it, we put a performance in, like leave everything on the pitch. Literally, I'm not going to complain. I'll be upset that we lost, but I won't be like, well, they didn't give everything, because if they give everything, that's all you can ask for.
I don't think I will be that upset if we lose if we played like that. When you look at who we're playing away at Liverpool. Nobody wins there. So even if we lose, if we played well, I'm going to come out of that game buzzing. To be honest, that we've gone to Liverpool and give them a game and played really well. And yes, I mean, obviously we want to win, don't we? Of course we do, and that would be fantastic. Any result would be brilliant. But if we play well, I'm going to come out of that game really happy that we've gone there and competed with the best team in the country last season, and probably still the best team in the country. And we've gone to their home and we've given them a real good game. And if we've done that, I'm going to be I'll be happy, shall we say? I won't be delighted that we've lost, but I'll be happy that we've gone there and produced a performance, because to me that would be a massive sign that we are on the way back. And it is a journey still, and let's not, even if we win there, let's not get carried away that we're suddenly going to win the Premier League this season. I mean, we might, if we get a couple of more signings, we could have a chance probably, but at the end of the day, we're back, or we're on the way back, on the road to be getting back. And it could be a long road, let's be honest, with what's going on ahead of us, with the teams ahead of us, who they're buying and how they're developing as well. But I think our strides forward, we've made the biggest strides in 2020 than any other team in the Premier League forward. We've definitely made the biggest improvements, and and that's one thing that is exciting, isn't it? Because no team has improved as much as us since January. No team has, and with all the difficulties this season, with everything else everyone's had to go through, but we've improved the most. I don't think there's any doubt about that. No. And hopefully on Monday, the whole world will be watching that game, and the whole world can see how much we've improved as well.
Let's not forget, this is, if you're going to go to Anfield, this is probably the best time to do it at the start of the season, when you're not quite in your full rhythm. I think, like you say, Arsenal are in the best rhythm with it, certainly in any of the top teams, given the way we finished the season and obviously started this season as well. It's the best time to go there. And there's the whole second season. Can they defend it? Not many teams have ever gone on for the second season and defended the title. So it's as much of a challenge for them as it is anybody else. So, yeah, absolutely. I'm full of confidence going into the game. But, yeah, if we lose it, like we've all said, it's not going to be the worst result in the world, as long as we don't get battered. And I'm fully confident that these boys will go out there and they're not going to leave anything on the pitch, because they don't in any other game. And they haven't done under Arteta. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
It definitely. It also leaves, no matter what happens, if it's a fantastic performance that we lose, or West Ham top performance and we get a win, either way, is a signal of intent to all the doubters as well. Because going into the season, you've got all these YouTubers putting their predictions out, and the pundits as well on the BBC and all that, saying we're going to be 5th, 6th, or this, that, and the other. Suddenly, suddenly that's a massive signal of intent. And also, when I look at it, with 3 games, we'll be put with match day 3 for most of us. And as you said, we're way in terms of teams in and around us. We're way ahead of them. Man United are struggling against West by hook or by a crook. Dodgy or not, I don't care what anyone says. It was dodgy. 5 minutes injury time, get an extra 5 minutes, and get score a penalty. but they're scraping against Brighton. They got battered at home to Crystal Palace. They just got a win against was it Luton in midweek, and that was their second string. Chelsea have only just got a point tonight away to a newly promoted West Brom. Everyone's tipping to get relegated. A team that Everton the previous week put 5 past with ease. Tottenham are hitting all over the place as well. They're not exactly sticking us like up at our level yet. So for us, I think that using this moment in time, using this start to the season, we need to use it in our favour. Get as far ahead as possible, but don't do a Leicester. If we do what Leicester did last year, pull far ahead and then fall away, and I've got to ask questions. I've got to ask questions of everyone in the club about how that happens. But I doubt that's going to happen because obviously, as I said, there's just things going around the club itself, not just as players and the manager, but in general that had that feel of that basically it's literally, pardon the pun, of that lot down the road, but it's all or nothing. You basically step up, give everything in the pitch, and also these players now because obviously the pay deferral most of them took when they were here back in the midst of lockdown. They've basically been given an incentive if they were to get Champions League football one way or another this season. The money they've given, they'll get back because obviously the money that obviously Arsenal will inherit from being a Champions League club again, they'll be able to afford that as it stands. The longer this fans out thing though, I doubt that'll be the case. But we'll have to cross that bridge when it comes to it. I personally don't think I can't see any fans. I can't see really any fans in England being allowed in the stadiums by the looks of it because they're saying another 6 months, and that's what around February time. You'll leave in March, April, May.
Did you watch the Arsenal women's game? They had fans in.
Yeah, I watched that. I was watching that 1-4-0, didn't we?
Yeah, 4-0, yeah. I mean, there was fans in there, yeah, a very small number in a very small ground. I know it's a completely different situation, but I don't necessarily think that there'll be no fans all season. I actually think that what will happen is this will start to it's a seasonal thing, isn't it? If we're coming into winter, it is going to die down again when we get into some better weather, maybe January, February time when the winter's on the way out. And I think that from that point onwards, I think we will start to get fans in. I think it will be a small number, maybe 1,000 fans or 1,500, whatever it might be. And I do think there will be fans in the ground this season. I don't think we completely write it off yet. It's not looking good at the moment, but I think the whole situation could change really quickly. I mean, it's changed really quickly in the last 2 weeks, hasn't it? You think what it was like 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, we was all thinking life was getting back to normal. And suddenly 2 weeks later, it's like we're almost on the verge of, being locked in our cages again for the next 6 months. But things are changing so quickly, aren't they? So in another 2 weeks' time, 3 weeks' time, a month's time, the whole situation might be different. I personally think it's going to be through the winter. We're going to have to put up with a lot of these restrictions through the winter as well. It's going to affect football. But let's hope that football can continue to be played. Because obviously what happened last year, I don't think it will get back to that because I think that the whole we're as it's been said, we're a lot better prepared for it now, and I think that football will carry on. I mean, I'm hoping it will, especially because we're doing so well. Last year, I wanted it to stop. Really, I wasn't bothered. We were 10th in the league or something. I didn't care if it stopped. But now, I want this season to carry on to see where we can take it. Really, so I want the season to carry on, and it'd be great to be in the ground again, wouldn't it? Let's be honest, it would. But ultimately, the most important thing is that we can keep the games going ahead. And obviously fans coming in the ground might end up leading to more higher rates of this, that and the other. And then they might have to end up, we might end up back in a full lockdown again. So it might be better if fans don't come back at this time, but we can keep the games going, which is the most important thing now, I think. Because I think if we stop this season again like we did last year, it's going to be the worst thing, isn't it? Because a lot of them smaller clubs just will not survive. Clubs outside the Premier League, not even that smaller clubs, some big clubs in the Championship, League One, they won't survive. So, this is how important it is. So having no fans in is difficult for them as well because they still find it hard to survive because of they're not getting any income, are they? Match their income and stuff. So it's a difficult situation. But I think without any games at all, I think football is in serious would be in serious problems. to recover from that. I think we're not going to have a league of 92 teams in the league, are we? I don't think it's not what's going to be. We might not be anyway. We might end up having 50 teams left after this. You know, we might do. We don't know yet, do we? I mean, I don't know what can be done. Something needs to be done because a lot of clubs that have had a big, long history in English football are on the brink of not existing anymore. And, you know, we can maybe think, oh, well, we're okay, Arsenal. We're never going to not be around. Let's hope that's the case. But, you know, football is for everybody, isn't it? And it makes me sad, actually, when you see these, what were at one time some of the biggest clubs in the country really, really struggling now and may not survive this, you know, and all their fans and stuff. Imagine how you'd feel, you know, I mean, if your club just disappears, it's no longer a viable business anymore and it's not there. What would you do? Do you know what I mean? It's just, it doesn't, it's not, you can't even really think about it, can you? It doesn't make, you can't actually process that thought, can you? But that's the reality for a lot of clubs, you know, and that's as it is now. And imagine if football has to shut down again completely. Just, I mean,
league to do something. The size of the Premier League and the financial backing that the Premier League gets, they've got to look to try and do something.
Premier League clubs are losing billions, aren't they? Premier League clubs have lost so much money this year, and these clubs at the top, yes, they've got a lot more to lose, I guess. But when they're losing money, they're not going to think to themselves, "Well, let's help out all these little clubs." When they're in a lot worse financial situation. I mean, just watching that Tottenham documentary, actually, we mentioned that just before. You know, just listening to stuff that was going on in there, how much money that they've lost on the back of this. You know, they are a big club, not as big as us, obviously, but they are a big club, and all the clubs are the same. I mean, we know what our situation is. We've lost a lot of money out of this, you know, and let's hope that, you know, we can get through this in a positive way. But you know, it's a, and yeah, it looks like the Premier League club should be doing more, and I agree they should maybe try to. But when they're losing money right, left, and centre as well, you know, with the TV money now as well, with all the games having to be shown on TV for the foreseeable future because of no fans, again, that's more money, isn't it? That's going to be coming out of what clubs make, and I don't know, it is a worrying time actually, and I don't know where the future is going to be for football in general. I just hope we can get this season finished and we do well, and at least if football does end next year, if we've won a trophy again, at least we can say we went out on a high. And if football disappears after that, at least we won the FA Cup the season before, and then we won something big in the Europa League or something this last season. That'd be nice, but hopefully it won't come to that. But we just don't know, do we? The whole thing is we don't know anything what's going to happen, do we?
No.
You know,
No, I mean, Gunnar Martin in the chat saying Leeds have shown that in their game against Liverpool that Liverpool's defence can be got at. So why can't we, under Arteta, long gone, or the games that of us getting embarrassing by top 4 teams? Yeah, we've mentioned that earlier on in the show. Yeah,
I wouldn't say they're long gone. They're only just recently gone, but they're gone.
Can I just say it just goes to show the approaches of different countries. I live in the Netherlands. There was 13,000 Feyenoord fans for the game last Sunday against FC Twente. 13,000 in a stadium of 50,000. Obviously, we're a population of 50 million people less than what the UK is, but and we went into lockdown slightly earlier than what the UK did. But you know, it just goes to show the approach where, you know, you've got Premier League fans saying I'll be maybe 1,000 or 2,000, and obviously I live in Amsterdam and Rotterdam's only an hour away, but they had 13,000 last Sunday for their match against FC Twente. Bayer Leverkusen today at home to Leipzig had 6,000. So it just goes to show the approaches of different countries, and like you say about the football pyramid in England. You know, I was fortunate enough to speak to Simon Barker, who's the assistant chief executive of the PFA earlier on this year, and he said to me as well. He said the most important thing, because obviously it was in the midst of COVID and what was going on, and he said the most important thing is that all clubs survive. I mean, if you dig a little bit deeper, all professional players and scholars, the PFA have a 100% membership of all players and scholars. So it's about, you know, they lost Berry and he lamented that, you know, there's only 91 of 92. And, you know, for the Premier League to be seen as completely different to the rest, yes, it is a class above in terms of finance and billions and millions of pounds, but it's also a vital part of the football pyramid. It's a huge part of the football pyramid. And when you start to cut it away, and when you start to say, like I heard Martin Keown today say, oh, maybe a Premier League 1 and a Premier League 2. we all love our club and we all love the sport of football because it's unpredictable. Nobody today thought West Brom was going to be 3-0 up at Chelsea at one point, but they were. And the reason why we love the sport is it's completely unpredictable. And when you start to have a league which is kind of going away from what it belongs to, when it kind of starts to go away from the pyramid, I think it's very worrying. I mean, obviously the Netherlands are a smaller country than the UK, but here the Dutch FA are the boss. All clubs are financially supervised. You have to hand in your accounts to the Dutch FA every year. And if they find out that you've been overspending or you've been living beyond your means, you get sanctioned. You get sanctioned in terms of fines, in terms of eventual points deduction. And if you don't heed any of the warnings, your professional license can be revoked and you can be put down all the way back into amateur football. You imagine that happening in the Premier League. That would never happen in the Premier League. But yet it's happened here to Haarlem in the past. Also at Roosendaal, who played Eredivisie football, which is the top level. They played Eredivisie football as recently as 2006, 2007. And they are now playing in the amateur league on a Saturday afternoon. So it's unprecedented times for everybody. But I just think when you see about people saying that the Premier League doesn't have to help out the lower leagues, it's a football pyramid. We've lost one of them. We'd hate to lose another. And as Rich says as well, for anybody to think, you can never imagine your club being dissolved. I'm sure that Bury at some point thought that would never happen. But, we just, it's unprecedented times. It's very strange times. And like with the buying of players, yes, it's nice to sign Willian, nice to extend Aubameyang. But I wonder if those wages are sustainable long term without Champions League football. And they're talking about Partey, they're talking about Orr, but are these wages that they're going to be commanding, are they going to be sustainable long term? And then we've got the likes of Mark McGuinness going on loan to Ipswich. I think we've already got 33 players on our books. 33 players on our books. So before we start buying any more, if we just trim it down a little bit and maybe have a good solid mix of young players and experienced players under the tutelage of a very good young manager, I think we can have a good season. But I think people really do forget how long a football season is. And there's many a twist and turn. And we've also got to learn to enjoy it. I mean, nobody expected Arsenal to win the FA Cup last year, and we did. Nobody expected us to win the Charity Shield, and we did. And this year we'll also see many a twist and turn. And I just think that going forward, we've just got to kind of get the balance right. We've won the first two games that we needed to win, so that's good. And we can go to Anfield full of confidence on Sunday night. But, it's a long old season, and we've also got to learn to enjoy it, in my opinion. Lads, as you know, I'm an hour ahead here, so I'll be signing off now. It's been an absolute pleasure. I think all three of you have made some great points, and I look forward to speaking to you all next time.
Nice one, James.
Cheers, James.
Thank you, mate.
Take it easy. All the best. All the best. Bye-bye. Stay safe.
Yep. Bye-bye.
I think James touched on a good point there. I think financially, we do need to trim the squad, but I think that's the hole that we've dug ourselves with average players earning really good money that they're not going to get anywhere else. And why would they leave?
I think we're trying, aren't we? We're trying to trim the squad. We're trying to offload several players at this moment in time, but no one seems to take them. And like you said, probably to do with the wages that they're on as well. A lot of them seem to be quite happy to stay. Socrates, for example, doesn't seem in any hurry to move because he's on a good contract. Ozil doesn't want to move. He's on a good contract, and it is a problem. But hopefully we can get rid of 3 or 4 in the next week or so to at least free up some money to be able to buy at least one more player in, which is going to make a difference. But I know it's a difficult situation, and it's like, how can teams justify spending millions of pounds on these players in the current situation when there's businesses closing down, when people are losing their jobs and all this, that and the other? And it is difficult. But as football fans, that's what we want, don't we? We almost expect our club, one reason, because we pay some of the highest ticket prices in the country, in Europe probably. And so we kind of expect that investment to go into the team as well. But I guess it's difficult to separate, isn't it? That all the stuff that's happening in the world and in everyday life is terrible at this moment in time. But we still want our club to be spending money on these players, don't we? And we'll be celebrating it if we get 1 or 2 big signings in the next week. We're going to be really happy, aren't we? And yes, the money, James is right what he said there. You know, the money isn't justified really, you know, regardless of how many players we've got or not. If we get rid of half our squad, we still can't really justify in this current climate spending, you know, 50 million on Aouar, no matter how good he is. But that's what we want as fans, and that's what we feel as though the club should be doing. And it's, you know, it's a difficult situation, isn't it? I think, and it's one that if we don't buy anybody, or if nobody buys anybody, I suppose it would be all right. But the fact is, other clubs have bought players, and if we don't, because we say, right, okay, look, this current situation isn't right, we've got too many players we can't get rid of, so we're not going to buy anyone. There'd be an uproar, wouldn't there? Because Chelsea have spent all that money they've spent. Liverpool have bought a couple of decent players. Man City have spent money. All the team, you know, Tottenham have just got Gareth Bale in. Yeah, I know he's only going to play 4 games for them until he gets injured, but you know. Other clubs are making signings, and if we don't, as good as right as that would be in the current climate, it's no one's going to be happy with it, are they? And Arsenal as a club couldn't afford to do that because we were far enough behind last year, and we can't fall further behind. We've got so many things in place now. We need to follow this through, don't we? And I know it's not ideal, the world we're living in at the moment, but we have to do it, don't we? Unfortunately, and yes, we do need to get rid of players. That's the first. That's got to be the first. The first thing that we do now. We've got to say, right, we've got to get rid of 5 or 6 players, even if it means taking a lower fee than we maybe could get for them, just to get them off the wage bill and just to move them on so that we can then free up some space to hopefully get at least one. I mean, I do think the Aouar deal, I think that one's pretty much done. I've got to be honest. I do think he's coming. I'm not sure about Partey. Listening to Arteta the other day, I've got a feeling Jorginho's on his hit list, you know. I wouldn't be at all surprised if we do maybe a swap deal there, maybe with Guendouzi or somebody. I do think that from what he said the other day, he seems to really like Jorginho. And if he feels he can do a job in the team, you know, then that's fine. As long as he's not the only one that we get, as long as we get Aouar as well, or Partey, or whoever it is, and Jorginho, I'd be quite happy with that, actually. But let's see what happens. I mean, it's going to be an interesting week or so, isn't it? I mean, we've got 2 big games at Liverpool, and then we've got the transfer window closing. I think this week's going to be, you know, all of us that's got maybe an Arsenal channel are going to be quite busy doing videos this week.
Yeah, so just a bit.
We're not going to have 5 minutes to ourselves, are we?
No, I think the Jorginho's one's a bit of a weird one for me because he's very similar to Xhaka for me. I don't see how you'd fit them 2 in, really.
But maybe that's not the idea. Maybe the idea is because Xhaka doesn't get a rest, does he? Because we haven't got anybody else to come in and do his job. So maybe, you know, if we've got Europa League, we've got lots of games, get Jorginho in on a free. If it's getting rid of Guendouzi as well, that's even better, isn't it? So it's actually a good deal for the club. Yeah. I don't think Jorginho is going to play every week, probably not. And I think maybe him and Xhaka can rotate in different games, possibly, because Xhaka plays every game. And if Xhaka's missing, we do miss him, don't we, when he's not playing? And maybe that's what it is. Maybe he's looking at a cover, or not necessarily a cover for Xhaka, but as an alternative to Xhaka for certain games, and you know, to give Xhaka a rest here and there as well. And you could play them both together, possibly in some games away from home. Maybe you possibly could.
In the bigger games, the away at City, you know, places like that, away at Liverpool, you would look to have a bit more defensive structure, and them to definitely give you that. So
as long as you've got the players in front of them with a bit more movement and a bit more pace, which we have with Willian, maybe with Aouar if he comes in, you know, Aubameyang obviously. So we've got the players in front that can give us that sort of pace and movement a bit more than what them 2 can. But they would certainly be, if you had another midfielder with them in some of these away games, that could actually work pretty well, I think. And I think that's what Arteta's maybe thinking, actually. He's thinking that if we had another player like Xhaka, it would give us, in certain games, a different option to what we've currently got. And yeah, it's what Russ says there. His range of passing is quite similar to Xhaka, isn't it? Yeah. He plays a very similar role. But like I said, sometimes we've missed Xhaka when he's not played. I know he doesn't tend to get injured very often, but you know, we can't rely on that, can we? And I think it'd be a good deal. If it's a swap deal, I'd be quite happy with that. If we're not necessarily paying any money for him, if we're just literally doing a straight swap, then to me, let's get it done. Because, you know, it's going to, if it gets rid of Guendouzi as well, gets him out of the club, which I think needs to happen as well. There's no point having a player who's not playing, get Jorginho and who can play and do a job for the team, you know. And I think I was quite surprised when it was mentioned, but the more I thought about it, the more I think actually could be quite a good thing. It could be quite a good thing. People say, we get another Chelsea reject, but is he really a reject at Chelsea? I'm not sure if he is.
No,
you know, he's a decent enough player, isn't he? He can do a job in the Premier League, that's for sure. I mean, he scored the winning goal against us, didn't he, last season?
I mean, City tried to sign him, didn't they? When Chelsea went there, they tried to sign him. There's obviously something. I'm at a point now where I don't care what the name is. I'll back Arteta if that's the player that he believes is the best, one of the best players to improve the team. Let's do it.
I think
exactly that, yeah. Whatever, if Arteta wants a player and we buy that player, it doesn't matter what the fans think. It doesn't matter what they're like on FIFA. It doesn't matter what rating they've got on FIFA, does it? What matters is Arteta wants them to come into the team to do a job that he needs them to do in our team that we're maybe lacking. And to me, that's good enough. I don't care. I agree with you. I don't care their name. I don't care who they are. I don't care how much they cost. If Arteta wants them and we get them, then to me, that's a great result. And if Jorginho is that player, from listening to Arteta the other day, I get the feeling that Jorginho is that player that he wants. And if that's the case, then people can cry all they want about it if we don't get Thomas Partey and we get Jorginho instead. But if that's what Arteta wants, who are we to argue? What do we know? You know what I mean? He's building the team, isn't he? In his, like you said, if Man City were interested in Jorginho when Arteta was there, that tends to suggest that he knows the job he wants. So there may be like a sort of a Rodri type of role. Maybe you can see him maybe doing that sort of role because Rodri's not the most mobile, is he? No. But he does a job in that midfield for Man City. So I wouldn't. I'm not gonna. Whoever we sign, like you said, I don't care if Arteta wants them and he gets them, then I'm happy. And let's see what they do first. People sometimes moan about all these players. Why are we interested in? Why are we buying them? They've not even played for us yet. You know what I mean? At least let them play 5 or 6 games and see how good they are or not, and then we can decide. Don't judge them before they've even played. People say, for he's crap. Well, I'm sorry, but he's not, and he's played 2 great numbers.
No, exactly.
Everyone jumped on that because it was a free signing. He was a Chelsea reject. He's 32. He came in the first game against Fulham. I was quite happy with that signing, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, at this moment in time, like you said, whatever signing Arteta wants, if it's a player Arteta wants, not someone at the club are buying, which seems to be different now. I think Emery got given players he didn't want, whereas Arteta seems to be that we've changed the structure now behind him, and he's going to get the players he wants. So everyone that we buy is a player Arteta wants. So if the fans aren't happy and the fans don't like it, well then you can't back Arteta, then can you? Because they're his decisions, and if you don't agree with them, then you don't. You're not backing the manager. So every time we win and play really well and we win the FA Cup and everyone's praising Arteta, you can't then praise him later on and say how great Arteta is when you didn't agree with his signings that he made. Do you know what I mean? You can't have it all ways, do you know what I mean? As far as I'm concerned, he can let him do his job. And our job is to support him and support the team. Yes, at the end of the day, if they play badly, players have bad games, fair enough. We're all entitled to have a little moan here and there, aren't we? Of course we are. That's what it's all about, isn't it? But it's the overall plan, isn't it? I think that we all need to get behind, and I don't see any reason why any Arsenal fan wouldn't want to do that now with what we've seen so far from Arteta and what we've seen going on at the club. How can anyone who calls himself an Arsenal fan, how can you not be behind this? How can you not? Because it's a million times better than anything else that we've seen for quite a number of years. Even the last. I know we won a few FA Cups in the last few years under Wenger, but you could see we were on our way down, and that was a little swan song, wasn't it, at the end? Whereas now, we said before, we're on the way up now. And if you can't get behind that now, then to me, you might as well not follow football, and you certainly might not follow Arsenal, because if you can't appreciate what's happening at the minute, you know what I mean? Then to me,
I was going to say Arteta as well, but since Arteta's come in, all the signings that we've got are all people that he wants, and they've all paid off. Pablo Mari was at Man City, got sold to Flamengo of the art, and then obviously he brought him in. Obviously, with no time I'd really seen him. Who was that World Club Cup final against Liverpool? He looked a good enough player.
Yeah,
he's coming. I know he's been a couple of games. He played a couple of games really until he got injured because of the whole lockdown crap. But he looked a decent centre back. Cedric Suarez. I mean, him and the club got slated for that by our fan base.
Yeah.
But he's played a few games.
He hadn't even played a game for us.
He hadn't even played a game. As soon as he plays a game, scores a goal within 5 minutes, he's our saviour.
Yeah.
I think that's
you can see that the signings that are made. You can see now that there's a reason he's signing that particular player. He's not signing him because he's cheap, or he's not signing him just to backfill and be a number. You can tell that he's signing players that can buy into his philosophy and actually make a difference. All of them.
But it's also targeting players, i.e., Mari and Gabriel, left-footed centre backs, things like that. They have to be a particular because obviously we've got these too many right-sided centre backs. He's like, no, we've got left centre back. We need to have a left-footed centre back. Otherwise, things will go.
And if you look at it as well, that's what Man City have done, right? As much as we maybe don't like the way that they've got the money to do it, but what they did with Arteta and Pep, they bought players that they needed in the positions that they needed. What Chelsea have done since they got their money, they've just bought players for the sake of it. Yeah, players haven't needed. They just bought for the sake of it. Man United buy players for the sake of it, not because they need those players. But at least you can see that is true. We are buying players that we need in the positions that we need, the right sort of player to fit in, and that's what Man City have done, and that's why Man City have been successful. You know, Liverpool to be fair, haven't they? They've done the same under Klopp. They've bought in the players that they needed in the right positions. They've not always been the big names, have they? Wijnaldum, for example. You know, Newcastle got when they bought him and players like that. You know, there wasn't the big name players always that they bought. You know, like Salah, who got rejected from Chelsea. Do you know what I mean? So, you know, you're building a plan, and that's what we're doing now. And you know, I don't care about clubs like Chelsea that just throw money at things that they don't need. At least we're buying the players that we need, that's going to improve us and take us where we need to be going. And we might have to get through a few more to finally get there, like Liverpool did. They didn't get there straight away, did they? It took Klopp a while.
I think that's it. You can see so many similarities between where Liverpool were and what Klopp's done. You can see the similarities between what they're trying to do. You know, you've got players there that you're touching it there. Wijnaldum, you know, he's not a big name, so in the big name play. You know, he didn't cost them 50, 60, 70 million pounds. But
Henderson as well.
You look at Henderson. I mean, he's been on for the last 2 years, and it's you can see a lot of similarities between. That's definitely the blueprint, isn't it?
I'll tell you what I would say as well, though. Our progress has been a lot quicker than Klopp's was.
Yeah, I agree.
It took Klopp quite a long time, didn't it, to really make his mark and start to really get his ideas across. Arteta's done it in a very short period of time, much quicker. So that gives me confidence that we can actually get to the level that we need to be a lot quicker than it took Liverpool. Liverpool took, you remember, I think it was only two or three seasons ago that they finished just 1 point ahead of us. They were fourth, we were fifth. Only 1 point ahead of us they were under Klopp. That was after, I think he'd been there 2 years. So, you know, we look as though we're progressing a lot faster than they did. And that's a great, it needs to be because of how far away we are, I guess. But it fills me with confidence that we can actually fill that gap a lot quicker. And I think we will do that because of how quickly things have moved already.
And also with Arteta and Edu being in charge of transfers now, and it's obviously been upgraded from head coach to manager, it's very reminiscent of when Wenger first came to the club, and obviously him and David Dean had that relationship, but did a very similar role.
Yeah,
and look at the success that brought, because obviously, David Dean going every summer, like, ask them, give me a list of who you want. You just go away for a couple of weeks, come back, you do the coaching. I'm going to go out and do what I can to get these players in. I'll do the business. It's very reminiscent.
I think Arteta's actually got even more of a role in that now. I think Arteta's actually got even more of a role. He's not. Edu's not saying give me a list. Arteta's saying right, we are going to go out, both of us, and apparently it's him who's talking Aouar into joining Arsenal. Arteta's spent time on the phone to him saying, look, this is what I'm doing at this club. I want you to be a big part of that. And it's Arteta that's doing most of this work, you know. I don't know what Edu's actually doing, to be fair.
Was it
all the Brazilian players, maybe, I don't know, making them feel at home, but you know, I think Arteta's doing most of the transfers, isn't he? He seems to be. He convinced Willian, didn't he, on the phone to Willian? He convinced him. He convinced Gabriel. And now he's convincing Aouar. So, you know, just let him get on with it. Let him go and do it. Don't let him even coach the team. Just let him go out and talk to players on the phone and get them all to come.
And even touching on Willian, obviously we've signed him with a fee and all that. He doesn't want, it's again a sign that he shows he doesn't want being a player in, and they've got to fit in one particular role. Versatility. And I think that's something we can thrive off.
Yeah.
What I love about Arteta is all his press conferences. He never talks about individual players. He talks about the collective, about the team, because he does it. That's what it's all about for him. And you can see that the players have bought into that philosophy now. You know, the players are playing. We're playing as a team. We're not playing as a set of individuals, which we were under Emery, wasn't we? Quite obviously, we were just 11 players running around all over the place, not really knowing what they were doing, just playing on their own. All of them were. Whereas now, every single player is playing as a team. They're all playing together, and it's not just one play. You look at the team and you think, you know, sometimes it's difficult to pick who's the man of the match today. You don't know because the whole team's played well. All of them.
Couldn't it? Every week.
you can't pick an individual out. There's no individual players in our team, is there? There isn't one individual player. It's a team effort, and all our results have come as a result of a team effort. And that's the way you have sustained success. If you're relying on, Aubameyang gets all the goals. Let's we do need to share the goals around a bit more. But most of his goals come about from good team play. He just finishes them off, which is his job at the end of the day. He's a goal scorer, isn't he? So, but it is a team effort, isn't it? He's not getting the ball. He's not scoring goals like Thierry Henry. Get the ball and run past 10 players and score, is he? He's scoring goals because the team are creating them goals for him, and he's putting them away. And that's what it's all about with Arteta. It's a team game and it's a team effort, and you can see what difference that's made. Just that's probably the biggest thing that he's changed. Actually, he's made us a team as opposed to 11 individuals running around. He's actually got us together. And even if the players aren't always as good, then he's coming. He's probably not the greatest player, but he's done the job for the team, and that's all you need to do. You just need players, and maybe that's why Ozil's not playing, because maybe he can't do a job for the team. The team needs to be around Ozil for Ozil to thrive, and unfortunately, that's not what Arteta wants. Arteta wants 11 players who are going to work together to get the result, and they're not going to carry anybody. They're not going to say, "Well, we need to play this way that the team needs to adapt to this player." No, the player needs to adapt to the team, and if you can't do that, you're not playing. And that's what's happening.
I think Elneny is a great example of that, because I think he's not a flair player, is he? There's nothing complicated and overly sophisticated about him. He keeps the game very, very simple. And when you look at, I remember Gary Neville years ago, or Jamie Carragher, whichever one it was, that said some of these players at the club were uncoachable. Yeah, and I think it's completely blown that out of the water by how he's improved. Even Mustafi, before he got injured, he was playing well. All of these, some of these players that we completely wrote off look completely different players. And I think Elneny, if he stays at the club, is going to be in that bracket as well. He keeps it nice and simple, just keeps the team quick.
Did you not think, though, it's a little bit to do with the fact that Arteta is almost he's taking the pressure off of them. I think when Elneny was playing before, maybe he felt as though he had to do something special to stand out and be selected again. Whereas Arteta took that pressure away from all of them. So now, Xhaka isn't trying too hard. Elneny isn't trying too hard. So they're coming in. Maitland-Niles isn't trying too hard. They're just playing it simple, like you said, and it's getting the best out of them because they're more relaxed. Yeah. And I think that's the reason, and that's probably why Elneny now looks a completely different player. Yeah. I guess he had a season on loan, and maybe he's played more regularly, so he's a bit more in tune with the game, perhaps, than he was, because he was getting in and out of the team and not really playing. But I do feel as though just simplifying the whole thing, Arteta simplified everything, hasn't he? Yeah. Every single player now, no matter how stupid they might be, they can understand quite clearly what they've got to do, and they're doing it because it's easy to understand. I think pretty much any player could come into our system and understand what they've got to do. Yeah, and it's just whether or not they're able to do it or not. That's what it comes down to. Yeah,
a huge element of everything. He's just provided a real clarity, isn't he, around how he wants to play, what he wants players to do, and what they don't have to do. And I think as well, on the other side of that is trust. You can see everybody from the top of the club, so from Vinay and Arteta and Edu, they trust each other. And I think you can see that on the pitch as well with the players. Everybody trusts. They've all brought into I say all of them, bar a couple of players. They've all bought into what Arteta's trying to do.
Playing,
exactly.
You do what Aubameyang as well, right? Do you not think Aubameyang now looks a completely different player? Because I feel as though Arteta said to him, "This is what you've got to do. Don't worry about all this other stuff. Just do this for the team, and it'll be effective." And he's playing a lot better now. He looks. I must admit, I had doubts, but is he a world-class player or not? I don't know. He was a good goal scorer, a great goal scoring record. But now you can see he's a world-class player. He is. Yeah, he's untouchable in the Premier League, I think, as a goal scorer. But not only a goal scorer, but his overall game. And that's Arteta's brought that on, hasn't he? He's changed the way he plays completely.
Yeah. Can you imagine Emery asking Aubameyang to work his bollocks off every single game, up and down, up and down, up and down?
He wouldn't have done it.
No, of course he wouldn't. He would. No, not a chance.
No, and he wasn't doing it, was he? He wasn't doing it very often, was he? Because the whole structure of the team didn't. There was no benefit for Aubameyang to do that then. Now there's a massive benefit because he knows that if he tracks back and does his defensive job, he knows that then later on in the game, he's going to get his opportunities up there to do what he does. And he's scoring goals virtually every game now, isn't he? And the reason he's a transformed player. And he's 31 years old. He's not a kid who's developing. You know what I mean? He's an experienced professional footballer. But look what Arteta's brought even more out of him. He was a good player, and he's gone from being a good player, a great goal scorer, into being an absolute world-class forward player for us. He's just unbelievable now. And he's been like this for quite a long time since Arteta's changed the whole way he plays. And not just with him, he's done it with a lot of players. There ain't one player who's playing regularly under Arteta that hasn't improved. Not one.
No, not one.
All of them have. Every single one of them has. And
I'm not convinced that if you played Aubameyang through the middle, he'd score any more goals.
He wouldn't score any more. Of course he would. How can he? You know what I mean? He can't score when he does, can he? Let's face it. He's not. He wouldn't be able to, would he? Because as the centre forward, it's the same with Man City. Man City's centre forward, if you like, Aguero, isn't a centre forward in a traditional sense, even though he was playing through the middle. Look at Lacazette; he's not a centre forward in a traditional sense. He's dropping deep, and that would be the job that Aubameyang would have to do if he played there, because that's the job in the team that's needed to be done. And I know Eddie Nketiah maybe plays it slightly differently, but he still drops deep. But he gets himself into the 6-yard box to finish him off, which Aubameyang would still do. So he would still get his fair share of goals. But like you said, he wouldn't score more. He'd probably score less. Actually, I think he'd probably score less because he's effective from the left-hand side, cutting in and curling them in. No one's better in the world than him at doing that. I've not seen anybody do that such regularity. And you know what he's going to do as a defender? They can't stop him because he's too good.
Yeah.
They just can't stop him. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. He scored a goal against Liverpool in the Community Shield. I bet he gets one on Monday, similar sort of goal as well. They can't stop him.
Where do you boys sit with Lacazette? Because I think he gets a lot of unfair criticism. Because I know he's our centre forward, and I know he should be looking for 25, 30 goals a season. But it's I just think the work rate and the effort that he puts in is that link for me. I think he gets a lot of unfair criticism. Lacazette, I think he's a big part of the team. Don't know where I
think Lacazette's problem for me is that he doesn't need to score 25 or 30 goals because Aubameyang does. If he chips in with 15, that's you've got two players who are scoring a lot of goals, and that's what Lacazette needs to do. His role in the team is to play deeper, almost like a false nine, if that's what you want to call it. That's his role that he's got to do for the team, and he's quite happy to do that, and he does it well, I think. And he scored a couple of goals already. Let's hope he might score a few more. He got 19, didn't he, a couple of years ago? He might, if he can get 20 goals this season, playing in that way, and if Aubameyang's getting 30 or 35. That's happy days, isn't it? I mean, what more do we want? And Nketiah's going to probably get double figures at least if he gets enough game time, because he's a natural finisher, isn't he? He'll probably get more. He'll probably get 15 if he plays enough. And then people say, okay, the midfield doesn't score enough. No, but if you've got 50, 60 goals from your three strikers, Willian's going to give you a few, and he's going to get double figures probably because he takes free kicks and stuff like that as well. So if their front three players are all scoring goals like that in double figures, and the midfield can just get Jorginho and Xhaka just to sit and get the ball forward to them three and do their stuff, and that's it, isn't it? And it's really. But
that's the problem with modern football, and everyone's got short memories. It was only season before last Lacazette was player of the season, for us. I think it's modern football fans tend to have a bit of a short memory, I think.
I don't know what people expect. Lacazette isn't. Yeah, okay. When he was in France, he had a few 30-goal seasons, didn't he? Before he joined us, he did. And maybe when he first arrived, he scored on his debut. We probably thought, hang on a minute, we've got a 30-goal striker here, and maybe that was what he was going to be. But then we bought Aubameyang 6 months later in the January window, and suddenly Aubameyang's your 30-goal striker straight away, isn't he? He was before he came, and you could see straight away he was going to be that player. And maybe Lacazette's the goal scoring responsibilities come away from Lacazette a little bit more because of Aubameyang's arrival. So, if people still expect the Lacazette to get 30 goals, then, you're not going to have two 30-goal strikers. No one has ever. That's never happened in the history of football, is it? So there's no chance of that happening. And Lacazette doesn't need to score them goals now because Aubameyang does. And if he's getting his fair share. Last year was a disappointing season for him. He admitted it himself, didn't he? And he doesn't need to score more goals. But this season so far, he's got 2 in 2. He can't do much more than that, can he? Do you know what I mean? So I agree. I think he does get unfair criticism, and I think people maybe expect him to be a 30-goal a season striker. But look at Firmino; he plays in that position. He doesn't score 30 goals a season. No, he struggles to get 15.
Everyone lauds Firmino. Everyone does.
Liverpool fans appreciate him because they understand football maybe a bit more sometimes. I don't know. They appreciate Firmino what he does. But Salah's getting goals. Mane's getting goals. Firmino doesn't need to score 25 goals, does he? Because them two do. And if we've got Aubameyang scoring goals, we're going to have Willian scoring goals. Then Lacazette, as long as he chips in with a few, you can't not score a goal as a centre forward. You've got to chip in. He does, and he has done. So yeah, I agree. I don't think he does get a bad rap, Lacazette, actually, because he does work really hard for the team. He's all about the team, Lacazette. He always has been. He works for the team. He's not a greedy Ian Wright type. I'm gonna push my own teammate out of the way to score. He's not one of them players, is he? He's not. And so for that reason, he's never going to score that many goals. He's a team player, and to me, that's a good thing to have. Even Aubameyang Aubameyang's a team player, despite the fact he scores all them goals. He's not a Gary Lineker, is he? Gary Lineker literally would have shot his teammate to get a goal ahead of him. He took one off Ian Wright for England. Do you remember Ian Wright's debut for England? Lineker pinched it off him, didn't he? Aubameyang wouldn't do that. Lacazette wouldn't do that because they're a team player. They're all about the team. They don't care who scores as long as we win and with the team's doing the job. Yeah, and I don't know. I think that's why Arsenal didn't really challenge for the league much when Ian Wright played. As much as I loved Ian Wright, don't get me wrong, probably my favourite all-time Arsenal player. But he wasn't a team player, was he? He was an individual player who was all about scoring goals for himself. Lineker was the same. Shearer was the same. You know, that's why they didn't win a lot of trophies, them three between them, did they? Domestically, really, they didn't, because they were very, very individual players who was in it for themselves, not in it for the team. And you know, I think that's where Aubameyang, to me, that's what puts him on a different level, because he's still getting great numbers in terms of goals, as many as they scored, but he's doing it as a team player, not as an individual who doesn't care about the rest of it. And Lacazette's the same. Lacazette's a team man, isn't he? And he's brilliant.
Yeah, and I think also, if obviously Touchwood all goes ahead of Hussein in a while, that's going to help Lacazette as well, because easier sort of the pressure of him coming too far, because we've seen sometimes he goes too far deep. Where not just a little bit. It becomes, with Hussam there, with the creativity, he doesn't have to come so far deep to get the ball down. So that you've got that player that does all that what you're trying to do, plus score the goal, and things like that will help them.
We have that creativity in midfield. We've got that creativity in midfield, and that's why maybe Lacazette has dropped deeper, because he wants to get the ball. If he hasn't got to do that, I agree that's what we've needed. We do need extra creativity in midfield. I think Willian gives us a little bit more than we had, a lot more probably, and obviously Aouar will give us even more. And that would, to me, that would complete our forward play. We've got all the defenders we need now. If we get him in, that's going to complete our forward play. And it's just, are we strong enough defensively in midfield? We've got a lot better, but again, maybe getting Jorginho in could be the final piece, to that. Yeah. To that whole jigsaw that Arteta's trying to build, and I'm excited about it. I am. I really am.
Yeah, I am. I'm pretty excited about Gabriel, I must admit. From what I've seen,
he surprised me. He has really surprised me how good he's been. I must admit, his first 2 games in English football as a central defender they've not been the best 2 teams that we've played. Let's be honest. He's going to get a far greater test on Monday, isn't he, against Liverpool? But he's done fantastic, hasn't he? Absolutely brilliant. He's strong. He's calm with the ball. He can pass it well. He can bring it out of defence. He can get the ball from the goalkeeper when we're trying to play it out from the back. He doesn't panic like maybe Rob Holding does sometimes, or like Socrates has done. He's calm, isn't he? And he's comfortable with the ball at his feet. And he can defend, is his main thing. A one-on-one defender, he's brilliant, isn't he? He's strong, he's quick. He pushes people out of the way. He's been brilliant. And let's hope that he can continue this and get better, because, what a signing he could turn out to be. He could be one of the signings of the season. He could be the equivalent of like a Van Dijk coming in, because we needed a player like that. I'm not saying as good as Van Dijk, but in terms of importance to our team, what we've needed, that's what he is, isn't he? He's that important, because we've lacked a commanding defender like that who can do everything. He can defend, he's good in the air, he's strong, he's quick, he's good with the ball at his feet. He's got everything, hasn't he? And I know that Arteta will improve him even more. And I'm excited about him. I must admit, he's surprised me of how good he's been. And let's just hope he's not going to, drop off. He's going to keep this level up, because, I'm not quite sure why Saliba's not been getting a game, because Saliba looked like he had all the right attributes as well, but he didn't even play him against Leicester, did he? I'm thinking, what's Saliba not doing that he needs to do to get a game?
I think as well, I think obviously Arteta didn't sign him, did he? So he's not one of Arteta's players. So maybe he needs to buy into a slightly different philosophy to what he would start.
That's a point, because he obviously came last year, didn't he?
Yeah. So I'm not too sure, but
also, didn't he come back to us with an injury at some point? So
he did have a knock towards the end of the season, because that's he was struggling to be fit for the final, when even though he didn't he didn't play in the end anyway, but he was struggling with it.
Maybe that's part of it. Maybe that's part of it as well. But he's been billed for the last year as the defender that we've needed, and suddenly out of the blue we get Gabriel, and he's overtaken him and shown why, because he's been absolutely brilliant, hasn't he? So let's hope he's going to have his work out on Monday night, isn't he, against their front three? But I think he might play on the left this time. Actually, I think David Luiz might be in the centre. I think he might play on that left-sided centre back role, because I'm not sure if Kieran Tierney's fit, but Kieran Tierney might play the left wing back anyway. But I've got a feeling he might play on the left of the three this time, which means he'd be up against Mo Salah, wouldn't he? That'd be interesting. That would be interesting. That'd be a good battle, that actually, won't it, between them two?
Yeah, absolutely.
It'd be interesting to see how he gets on against Mo Salah, actually, because on his day, Mo Salah's hard to stop, isn't he? So be a good test for him, that. But we'll see what happens. I mean, he might not play there. Maybe he might be in the centre again. I don't know. I just got a feeling he might be more on the left this time, because I think David Luiz will play for his experience, even though he had a bit of a nightmare at Liverpool last season.
Yeah. So before we wrap things up, is it, in terms of the lineup for Monday night, is there anything you would change from the West Ham game, or do you keep it same as?
I think personnel-wise, I think you've got to try and build on what we've started with. I don't think there's any real reason to make too many changes. I mean, I guess it depends on how he sets up. He's probably going to stay with the three at the back, which will become a five when we defend him. But I don't see, unless any changes are forced upon him, like you say, Kieran Tierney might not be fit. I would try and keep it as similar as we could, I think.
Yeah, I think David Luiz, for me, I think he's more likely to start, having played against Leicester, to get minutes in his legs. I think he'll play for his experience. I think Holding will keep his place, even though he's not been that great. I don't think he's maybe a little weak link there, isn't he? And obviously, I think when Saliba's maybe ready, obviously Holding probably won't be playing as much. But I think it'll probably be Holding, David Luiz, and then possibly Gabriel as the left-sided one. But then see the left wing back, he likes Maitland-Niles in them big games, doesn't he? So if Tierney's fit, he's not going to leave Tierney out of the team. So then Tierney might drop into the left centre back, and then he might leave Gabriel out. Which, does Gabriel deserve to be left out? That's for me. That's the tricky decision he's got to make. Does he play Tierney left wing back? Does he play Maitland-Niles left wing back, who he has favoured in the big games before? Had a great game against Liverpool in the Community Shield as well. He got man of the match, didn't he? So would he? That's for me. That's the decision he needs to make. I think it does depend on Kieran Tierney's fitness, of course. If he's not fit, the decision's made, isn't it? Then Gabriel's on the left of the three, and then obviously Maitland-Niles will be the left wing back. But I think if Tierney's fit, he's going to play him. Surely he's not going to leave Tierney out, is he?
No,
he'll play. So does he leave Gabriel out and play David Luiz, or does he keep the same back three that played maybe against Fulham, who played really well? So that I think the rest of the team pretty much at this moment in time is probably picking it. So I think Ceballos will probably start instead of El Neni. Although having said that, El Neni might be a more defensive player to play at Liverpool, maybe.
Yeah.
So there's a possibility you might go with Xhaka and El Neni as a partnership, because that did work well at Fulham. But having said that, Ceballos and Xhaka do work well together, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
Against West Ham, I know Ceballos set up the goal at the end, and obviously the front three I think will be the same: Willian, Lacazette, and Aubameyang. So I'm not expecting many changes, just maybe one or two, possibly. That he has to think a couple of positions he has to think about for that particular game. I think how he wants to play that game.
Yeah, I think that's my question mark is Tierney. I mean, I love him to bits. You can tell he's going to become, if not already, a real fan's favourite, but it's just that question mark over his fitness, isn't there, and whether he can stay fit for a full season. So whether or not Arteta might choose, if he's not quite right, just to give him a breather. I don't know. So it'll be interesting. I think that's going to be that change hinges on 2 or 3 different changes, doesn't it? Whether it's fit or not.
And also as well, is he gonna put David Luiz in the starting team, having played him against Leicester to get him some game time? And that was the reason why he played it. And I thought he played well against Leicester, actually. And he's played well anyway, hasn't he? He played well towards the end of last season. And I do think he gives that leadership at the back that maybe Gabriel's still a young lad. He's been playing well. Holding it hasn't got that leadership either, has he? And I know Tierney kind of does, but he's not that similar sort of player. And I just think I think David Luiz will probably play. And then it just leaves. Do you leave Gabriel out after how he's played? I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't.
I wouldn't.
If I was Gabriel, I'd be disappointed to be left out after the two performances that he's put in. But you know, I don't know. That's the tricky one for me. That is the one position where I'm not sure what Arteta will do. Actually, I think the rest of them you can pretty much think, Bellerin's probably going to play right side, isn't he? Because he rested him against Leicester. And it's the left wing back. It's either going to be Maitland-Niles or Tierney, probably, isn't it? I think Saka won't play in this game, unfortunately. I just don't think it's the game for him. He'll go more physical, won't he? He'll put the physical players in against Liverpool because, especially in wide areas, because they like to get the ball wide and get crosses in, don't they? And he'll want to stop that. And obviously, Maitland-Niles is the best player to stop that, isn't he? I think. So, but it'd be interesting to see about that, what he's going to do with that. But I'm not expecting any other changes really, other than that. I wouldn't have thought. I'd say maybe El Neni possibly, but I've got a feeling he'll go with Ceballos. If I'm honest, he seems to favour him, doesn't he? And it is his player as well. He got him El Neni, and again, El Neni wasn't his player, was he initially? So
no, exactly. Let's start like the things up. But before we do that, score predictions for Monday night. We'll go with you, Richard, first.
This actually is probably one of the hardest games to predict the score, I think, because I know we're not going to get absolutely hammered like we have done in recent years at Liverpool. And I do feel as though we can get a result. I really do feel as though we can. But are we going to? That's the question. I mean, I'm going to be optimistic. I definitely don't think we'll lose. I'm going to say we'll win 2-1, just for a laugh. Because I'm feeling optimistic, and I don't see any reason why we can't win 2-1. We probably won't, if I'm honest, but I'm going to predict 2-1, because then if we do win 2-1, I can say how great my prediction was.
It really is a tough one to call because, as you said, Richard, we're not going to get hammered. I really don't see that happening, and I'll be disappointed if we do. But I'm going to go 2-2. I think there's going to be some goals. I think at the moment Liverpool don't look certainly not as solid as they were last season. Yeah. I think just with those front three that they've got up front, you're always going to get goals. Like you say, they haven't lost there for some time. So, but I genuinely think we can give them a really good game, give them a proper chat. And I'm confident we're going to get something. I'm going to go 2-2. Anything better than that, and is a bonus.
I mean 2-2 is perhaps my other score. You know, that I was thinking, just because I agree with you, I think there'll be goals. I must keep it a clean sheet against their front three at Anfield. Just can't see it happening. I can't remember last time a team kept a clean sheet at Anfield. Actually, that'd be a long time ago. But I do think we'll score. Well, I think we can score against them because I think they're not as solid defensively this season for one reason or another. And I think we've got the players obviously to take advantage of that. I think Willian's going to be a massive player for us on Monday, actually. I think experience of them sort of games is going to be massive, and I think he's going to have a big influence. He may even score his first goal for us, but I definitely think he's going to have an influence on that game. He's going to give us that little bit extra that we've maybe lacked in these big games away from home previously. He's the one who's going to come in and make that difference, I think. But I mean, I'll take a 2-2 all day long. I'll definitely take it.
He's been there and done it, hasn't he, Willian? He's won everything with Chelsea.
I think he scored at Anfield before for Chelsea a couple of times, so he's he knows how to play in them games, doesn't he? Them big games, he's done it before, and I think that experience is absolutely so important because that's where we maybe last year when we went there, if you remember, when Pepe started his first game, he caused them quite a lot of problems, didn't he? But he maybe didn't have the belief because he hadn't done that in that sort of game before in the Premier League, whereas Willian has, hasn't he? And if Willian gets half a sniff, he knows how to react. He knows what to do to win them sort of games. So I think he's going to be an important player for us actually on Monday. Now he probably won't start, will he? He'll probably play Pepe instead. But if he plays, I think Willian will have a massive influence on that game for us, and I think he could be the difference. But I'll take a 2-2 all day long. I'll snap your arm off a 2-2 now. But I still do think we can win. That's the thing. I do. He's telling me we can win, and while I believe that, I'm going to go with it. But I'll take a 2-2 all day long.
I think I've got. I'm slightly leaning towards a win for Arsenal, 2-1 win, just because obviously we played them recently. We've beaten them at Emirates. We then obviously drew, but then won on penalties at Wembley as well. With it, and also with the Wembley, as I touched at the beginning of the stream, the Wembley game, we had a far weaker team than what they had. It was bar Henderson, that was their full strength team against a mixture of our first team and second team, and we we cause them problems. So my thing is, if we can do that with our mixed team, imagine what we can do with our full strength team that's available.
Coming off of 3 straight wins as well.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, let's not underestimate that win at Leicester, because I know Leicester changed their entire 11 players from the Premier League game. They still have some good players in their team, experienced players named Maddison and a few others, all Brighton and what have you. And we went there. Yeah, okay, we had quite a strong side if you look at it like that. But that's an impressive win there. It's a good performance that. Away from home against, I mean, I don't consider Leicester as one of the top 6 teams necessarily, although they did finish 5th last year and they did win the Premier League, obviously, quite recently. But they're not one of the top 6 teams. But that was an impressive away performance against a team like that. And that, I think that shows where we are now with Arteta, actually, that we can produce. Like last season, we'd have lost that game. Away at Leicester in the League Cup, we would have lost that game. And we produced that performance overnight. That was brilliant. And if we can take half of that into Liverpool with better players in the team, who knows?
Well, that's another thing Arteta's done since he's come to us, especially in the return of the Premier League, whatever you call it. Our away record has got a lot better than what it was before. We're winning away and also keeping clean sheets. How was the last time we could say that we could count on both hands? We've kept clean sheets away from home.
Difficult to beat for sure.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is it's difficult to beat. That's the one thing. I mean, that takes us back to George Graham days when Arsenal were difficult to beat. I know we were unbeaten under Arsene Wenger for 49 games. We were hard to beat then, but that was because we had literally some of the greatest players to ever play football in that team. Under George Graham we didn't, and we were still hard to beat. Now we haven't got the greatest players in the world, and we've become hard to beat again. And that is massive, isn't it? And that's the biggest difference, isn't it? Under Emery, although we didn't actually lose that many games, when you think back, we drew hundreds and hundreds. We didn't actually lose that many, but we were opened up constantly, wasn't we? We're not anymore. When was the last time a team really, really, walked through our midfield, walked through our defence? I can't remember it happening. Everyone praised Martinez, right, for his performances, and he was great, don't get me wrong, but he wasn't put under half the pressure Leno had been at the start of last season.
No.
Would he have coped with that? 150 shots fired at him every game, like Leno had. Do you know what I mean? He wouldn't, would he? You know what I mean? Would he have been as good? Would he have produced as good a performances with all that shakiness in front of him? He probably wouldn't have done. He was lucky. He came into a team with a solid defensive shape in midfield and in defence, and and that's why he was able to perform so well. He was brilliant, but Leno was brilliant when he had nothing in front of him. It was like the Red Sea just opened up, didn't it? And the team ran through, and it was just Leno having to keep us in the game on his own half the time. And the people have forgotten about. You said about short memories. People have forgotten about that as well. Yeah, how brilliant Leno was. The first half, without Leno in the first half of last season, we would have been struggling against relegation. The amount of points he won us. People completely forget that because Martinez had 5 good games at the end of the season in front of a solid defence. Against a solid defensive performance of the team, you know what I mean? Everyone's going, oh well, let's get rid of Leno. Yeah, let's get rid of Leno, who actually kept us up last year.
The amount of people I saw that have been saying, "Oh, we've sold the wrong goalkeeper. It should have been Leno." It's just ridiculous.
Let's not make no mistake about it. He was brilliant, right, Mike? He came in for 10 games and he was brilliant, right? Absolutely fantastic. He helped us win the FA Cup. He helped us win the Community Shield. Fantastic. I mean, I wish him all the best. But let's get reality. He was at Arsenal 10 years. And he had 10 good games in 10 years. Leno's been brilliant for 2 years. Yes, he's made the odd mistake here and there. He's a goalkeeper. Goalkeepers make mistakes, don't they? And 9 times out of 10, a mistake from a goalkeeper leads to a goal because there's no one else to bail you out. But let's understand that Leno is deservedly was our number 1 choice for the start of this season. And the sacrifice of that was that Martinez wanted first team football as he deserved, and he had to go, and that was that. But let's not pretend that we stole the wrong goalkeeper because we haven't. No, I don't think he saved the penalty on his debut. Well done for that save. It was a great penalty save, by the way. But Leno is number 1, deservedly so. Let's remember what he did for us. When we needed him, he was there, and regularly he was there for us. And
I think had it not been for that injury, for me, he was Arsenal's player of the season this season. If it wasn't for that injury.
Oh, without a doubt he was, because literally I hate to think where we would have been in the league without him. In that first half of last season, I mean, I can't remember the amount of games he saved us in when we were. And that game against Watford in the second half, they had 30 shots at goal in that Watford game. We got a 2-2. Without Leno, we'd have lost that game probably 5-2. And that's one example of the games he saved us. And we would have ended up with probably 10 less points when Arteta came in than we had. And that would, we would have been in the bottom 4 probably.
Yeah.
And people soon forget that because Martinez had a couple of good games. I mean, come on.
I don't miss those games. I must be having 30 shots against us every week. I don't miss that.
No, exactly.
especially against no disrespect to the likes of Watford and all that. Just like seriously, in the Europa League teams that were like just the debut seasons, things like that. I'm like, oh my days, bang my head of a brick wall.
I think it's just so refreshing seeing us go to different places and having different plans. Because for so many years, for 10, 15 years, we only ever had one way of playing under Wenger. That was it. It was plan A, and that was it.
Yeah.
Like when we had the players, that plan always worked. But when you haven't got the players, you have to do something different. And we didn't. And then Emery did the same thing. You know, he just carried on doing the same thing. Didn't change.
I don't think Emery had a plan, did he? Or if he did, nobody understood it because the players didn't understand it. We certainly didn't understand it. I don't think anybody understood it, and maybe that was the problem. Maybe he did have a plan, just nobody could understand what it was. So the players weren't able to carry it off. Whereas Arteta's obviously a lot clearer with with what he wants to happen, and like you said, he's simplified everything, and that's helped. And it has. I think now, you know, people were complaining about Leno dropping a ball whenever it was against West Ham. I mean, what's that all about? But you'll see now with a more solid structure in front of him, Leno's going to be fine. I'm not worried about Leno playing goal. He's decent. He's a good goalkeeper. He's probably in the top 3 in the Premier League, I think.
100%.
Only shot stopping wise, he maybe starts commanding in his box, but I'd agree with that. Martinez, you know, he's a bigger guy. He come out and caught the ball rather than punching it. But you know, don't forget Leno's come from the German league, where that's what they do more. The way the goalkeeper play there. Whereas obviously Martinez has been brought up in the English game where goalkeepers come and catch the ball. That's the only difference. But I think our new goalkeeping coaches are going to change that anyway. And I think Leno will catch the ball a lot more. I think he's tried to in the last couple of games. I've noticed he has tried to be catching it more. You know, I know he nearly dropped one, didn't he, against West Ham? Although it wasn't his fault, was it? He kind of, with it surprised, he landed on top of him. He broke his neck, and everyone's saying he dropped the ball. He didn't even drop it, did he? He landed on his head. What was he meant to do there? But anyway, I mean, you know, that's just another point with it. Another player who's maybe people forget how good they are and what a great job they've done for the club and for the team quite quickly because they may be injured or not playing. And it's like, you know, I just think sometimes it's important to keep perspective, isn't it? You know, our fans in particular, I don't know, probably every fan maybe, I don't know, we just notice it more because we pay more attention perhaps, but our fans do seem quick to get on a player's back after one or two not so great performances, forgetting that they've just come off the back of 10 great games in a row. And of course their performance level is going to drop at some point. Nobody's brilliant every game. Ronaldo's not brilliant every game. Messi's not brilliant every game. You know, and as soon as one of our players has a bad game or two bad games, it's like, oh, they're crap. You know, like you know, Xhaka is another one who takes a lot of stick for that. You know, he's probably had 25 games in a row now where he's been at least a 7 out of 10, at least minimum. But probably 20 odd games in a row, isn't he, for us? And people still say, oh, he's not good enough. Well, how much better does he need to be? Do you know what I mean? He can't have been. No one else would have come in and played 20 games in a row like he has at that level, constantly, consistently, week after week. And it's like, what do you expect him to do? He's not. You know, he's not a Eden Hazard, is he? He's not that sort of a player. So don't expect him to do that because he doesn't do that. Don't criticise him for it. Don't criticise him because he can't. You know, he's not the quickest player in the world. He does what he does, and he's good at it, and he does it consistently well every single week. You know, I mean, I'd rather have a player like that in my team than somebody say like Guendouzi will have one good game in 10, and everyone raves about him because he's had that one good game against Tottenham where he was brilliant. Let's not be wrong, but that's not enough, is it? He's got to do that every week, and he didn't. And, you know, the same with Ozil. You know, Ozil has one good game every 5 or 6, doesn't he? I mean, I like Ozil, don't get me wrong, but he's not consistent, is he, in his performance levels? He's not. He hasn't ever been. He'll have a good game here and there, and he's brilliant when he's brilliant, but when he's not brilliant, he's almost a waste of time, isn't he?
Yeah, let's not start on Ozil, otherwise we're going to be here for a few hours. He's not even here anymore, is he? He's gone. He's left, I think. I think he's left the club. They've just not told us. Yeah. Because he's never there, is he? So he's probably left. He's probably left the club. They've got some little cut-out figure that looks like him to stick on the training pitch, or someone wears an Ozil mask at training so that it looks like he's there. But I reckon we got rid of him in the summer. I do. I think he's gone back to Germany or Turkey or somewhere. He is. That's where he's living his little life there by the beach and that. He's not playing football, but they're trying to say he's still there. And they're pretending he's there in training and stuff. Maybe it's videos of him training last season. They just superimposed a new kit on him and stuff like that because he can't still be at the club. It's impossible.
Oh dear. Too busy playing Fortnite. But hey,
he's having fun. He's having fun, isn't he? Leave him alone. He's having some fun. He's just not doing his job that he's paid for. But never mind. Yeah. Well, that's not his fault. He's not getting picked to play, is he? So he probably wants to play as well.
There's clearly something gone on there, but that's another show to do.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Carrie is saying, should they try Louise in midfield? He has played there, obviously, with Chelsea at a CDM role.
In place of who, though? That's the question, isn't it? Who would he play? Wouldn't play him instead of Xhaka, would you? You wouldn't play him probably in place of Ceballos. He hasn't got that creativity. He's got them great long balls, but he can do that in the back three, can't he? I don't know. He has played in midfield, yes, but in our system and with our players, who would he replace in midfield?
I think he'd just have to be. He'd be a last resort for me in terms of if he picked up a few injuries and he didn't have anyone else to play there.
He could probably do a job there. He could probably do a job there, yeah.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't, for a game of Liverpool away, you wouldn't throw him in midfield, I don't think.
No.
not ahead of the players that we've got there who have been playing to the system that works. I think he's doing a good job where he is as the centre of the three at the back. Yeah. He's doing a great job there, isn't he? So keep him there, because I just don't see where he would fit into midfield at the moment. Unless you're going to play him in a number 10 role, I don't know.
One of his best seasons at Chelsea, in his return to Chelsea, was part of that back three under Conte in the middle. Yeah.
He was brilliant that season. Yeah, that's what he's done. He's been like that for us as well. You know, probably the last 3 or 4 months since that Man City game, when obviously we all know what went wrong there. But since he came back after that, he's been brilliant in that role, hasn't he? Every single game he's been brilliant. He hasn't. I don't think he's had a bad game since then, has he? I can't think of one.
No,
and that's a consistent level, isn't it? 15 games or whatever it is in a row, playing consistently well, and that's what Arteta's done. They're not outstanding. I wouldn't say David Luiz had an outstanding game. He had 1 or 2 really good games, but none of them have. They've all been really consistent. Every single player that's played has been consistent. Nobody you can say has had more than 1 below par performance, I don't think. They've all been consistent every single game, aren't they? And that's what the level is now. And that's what you need to do. If you're going to be successful, you've got to produce consistent performances, not just individually, but as a group. And that's what they're doing every single game now. And you know what you're going to get from Arsenal. I know West Ham wasn't great, but West Ham wasn't a terrible performance, was it? It wasn't great, but it wasn't terrible. And we managed to win the game because we've got that team spirit, and we've got that the way that we just play. They're all together, aren't they? You could just tell. He made good substitutions, actually, which won us that game probably as well. But hopefully we'll play better against Liverpool. I think we'll have to play better, and I think we will, because we played better against Leicester, didn't we? So let's be. I mean, that's what, to me. That's what Arteta's brought. He's brought this consistency of every single player. They're all now 7 out of 10 every week, and occasionally some of them are 8 or 9. But they're all at least 7, aren't they? You're not getting 4 out of 10 performances anymore. Yeah. You're not getting 5 out of 10 performances anymore. Everybody's consistent. But yeah.
So we'll wrap things up now. Start with you, Richard. Where can people find you on your social media and obviously your YouTube channel?
Yeah, I've got this new YouTube channel. It's called Over and Over and Over Again. I've sort of named it a positive channel because I'm trying to steer away from all the negativity that's around Arsenal. You know, we've touched on bits of it, haven't we, tonight as well? And there is a lot of it about, unfortunately. So I'm trying to keep that away from my channel. I want to be positive even when we lose. I know we haven't lost yet, so it's easy to be positive, but I'm going to try to look at the positives even when we lose, because there are always positives there if you look hard enough for them. Hopefully, we don't need to look that hard just to see them, certainly not now. So that's on YouTube there. I'm going to be doing, in the next 5 minutes, actually, a report on the Arsenal women's game, the FA Cup game, which was on earlier. I'm covering them on the channel as well, just because they are part of the club. I actually enjoy watching their women as well. I think they played great football, and we beat Spurs, which is always nice. Let's hope the men can follow the example and also beat Spurs 4-0 when we next play them. That would be really nice, wouldn't it? But yeah, so that's over on YouTube. Obviously, I'm on Twitter as well, which is at GoonerRichB, which is on the screen. But yeah, so pop over to my channel. I'm doing this report on a women's game probably in the next 5-10 minutes. And I'll be doing some stuff, obviously, ahead of the Liverpool game as well. Probably on Sunday, and then on at the game as well, half-time, a full-time report, all that kind of stuff. And I'll do a match review on Tuesday as well. And obviously looking ahead to the League Cup game as well, which is coming up straight after the other game, which there's a lot of games at the minute, so you haven't got time to think really. It's one game into another, which is good really. That's what it's all about, isn't it? We just want to see us play that way at the minute while we keep winning. So if you want to nip over to my channel at some point and have a check out of that'd be great. And I'm on here quite a lot as well, doing various things. Quiz tomorrow, I think, isn't it? Which will be good.
Yeah, defending my title for the second time in a row. Bloody hell.
I need to put my ideas up to stop you.
To be fair, I held on by the skin of my teeth in the end.
You did last week, yeah. It was a good quiz last week, actually. It was exciting.
Yeah. I think, as I said, the first one out of 11 we've done so far. And that's the first one that's gone down to literally the last question. There's like
it was exciting. It was a good finish there. Hopefully it'll be good. It'll be good tomorrow as well. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, the girls did fantastic today. I'll put a cheeky bet on today, £125. So I'm even happier. North London.
They did do well second half. Yeah, they played really well second half. Actually, first half was a bit of a tight, cagey game, but the second half they were good. Yeah, I thought they were brilliant. Yeah,
especially Evans with her hat trick.
Yeah, I know. Well, we went to the final, the Continental Cup final against Chelsea, right? I went to watch that, and she played right back that day. And unfortunately, she was terrible. I've got to be honest. She had a terrible game. But it seemed as though because she was maybe in the wrong position, she's more of a forward player. She was playing defensively. She got caught out a few times. Arsenal was unlucky to lose that game. Actually, we should have beat Chelsea quite easily. We missed a lot of chances. They played well and ended up nicking it in the end, but. I just enjoy watching the women. I just think, the women's game's improved so much in recent years. And the good thing about the Arsenal women is they play good football as well.
Yeah.
They do. And it's great that they're one of the best teams in the country as well, aren't they? So, them, Chelsea and Man City, obviously the top three clubs now. And it's good to watch an Arsenal team competing at the top of the league as well, which is nice. They're top of the league at the minute as well, and in the FA Cup semi-final. So hopefully the men can follow that example this season. That'd be nice.
And
did you have a bit of 4-0? Yeah, did you? But was it 4-0? It 4-0.
Was. Yeah, I put Evans with a hat trick. Jordan Nobbs obviously got the first goal, but just about 5 minutes before the game kicked off, I was like, I had spare a few quid on, put it on, £25 return if it came in, and obviously Evans got the fourth goal. I was like,
I bet you were 20 minutes to go when it was 0-0. You didn't think it'd be 4-0, did
you? No.
I certainly didn't. 0-0, I think we're struggling to get a goal, let alone get 4. But once the first one went in, that was it then.
Yeah, I think that from that first goal, I was saying, if we get the first goal, the floodgates were open because the game opens a bit more. You could tell it was both teams were so tense, and it was just like that first goal was everything.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. As soon as we got that, we just rolled them over, didn't we? Really, which was good to see, as always.
Yeah, Paul as well. Where can people find you?
Just on Twitter, really. I don't do this. Is the first podcast I've ever kind of been involved in. So thanks for having me on. But just on Twitter, you can see my handle there. It's @Dawsey2801. So drop me a follow. But hopefully be more involved in some of these moving forward as well.
Yeah, again, the door's always open whenever you want to come on. We'll sort something out, basically.
I appreciate that.
That was a good little pun, that, Ryan. The door's always open. I like that.
Not sure he meant it.
No, probably not. It was good though, wasn't it? I like that. That was pretty clever.
Yeah. Oh dear. But over there, like Richard said, I've got the 12th Who Am I quiz tomorrow, and I'm again defending that title. I didn't cheat. Like people might think, I didn't cheat. I walked to the first one. That's more so because Richard weren't on it. But the last time, Richard was all the way through, and by the skin of my teeth.
I'm blaming Andrew. I'm blaming Andrew for his silly early guesses that was stopping me getting points, actually. So I'm going to have a word with him tomorrow and say, don't do your early guesses because it's put me right off, that did.
That was nothing to do with me, though.
No, it's nothing to do with you. It was just Andrew guessing after the first clue. I'm like, come on, Andrew, give us a chance.
Or was it the team? Or guessing a team mascot as well?
Yeah, that was a weird one, wasn't it? He's thrown in a few strange ones, isn't he? Sometimes he does, Mike. I love it. Like, he does throw some good ones. Yeah, I don't think anyone would have Galasaurus, would they? That was hilarious.
Yeah. So like Richard said, it's going to be a busy week, not only on his channel but on my channel as well. So obviously got the quiz tomorrow, got the Watson on Monday night, which has been moved forward by 15 minutes because obviously the pubs need to close by 10, and they don't want to chuck their punters out.
Yeah, don't move it forward because we can't get a train back from Liverpool on a Monday night or Sheffield United on a Monday night. Don't bother changing the kick-off then so we can get home. Change it so people can watch it in the pub. Yeah, brilliant. Well done, Sky. You got to love it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like,
I can't believe that. I'm like, all them games that we complained about that they moved to a Monday night when you can't get back.
Or was it a couple of years ago? I think it was Wenger's last season, and we had to play Liverpool we played Liverpool around Christmas period, just before Christmas, but they wanted to play on Christmas Eve.
Yeah, I remember that.
And Liverpool fans have to come down to London and all that. I'm like, initially, that was the plan in place. They had it all in place, but because of the kickoff it entailed, they have to back onto the press and go, okay, we'll move back to the original date.
Yeah, that was that 3-3, wasn't it? That was when it was 3-3. That 3-3 goal when we scored 3 goals in about 5 minutes, didn't we? That was unbelievable. That game. What a game that was. We've had some good games against Liverpool, actually, haven't we? Over the years.
Always got goal.
Yeah, went 2-0 down, pulled it 3-2 up, and then still bowled it because it all went pear shaped still.
Yeah, I know, but that 5 minutes when we was from 2-0 down to 3-2 up in 5 minutes, that was that goal. I know obviously Ozil again, but Ozil scored that goal. That was just unbelievable. That what a goal that was. I mean, the whole that 5 minutes was probably the best 5 minutes I've ever seen in my life. We literally just ripped Liverpool to bits, didn't we? That was so. Hopefully, we'll do that on Monday. That'd be good.
Yeah.
But hopefully, we win this time. Hold on and win. Score 3 goals in 5 minutes and then hold on and win. That'd be nice. 3-0. Imagine that.
Oh fuck it! The meltdown in the Jamie Carragher one. It was speechless.
Yeah.
We have the excuse in the book, but yeah, that is what it is.
That would be good, wouldn't it? Imagine if we actually give them a good hiding. That would be hilarious.
For once.
That would be hilarious. Yeah, make up for all the 4-0s that we've lost there and 5-1s and that. I mean, last year was only 3-1, but it might as well have been 6-1 because we were not in that game really well. Once they scored.
Oh dear.
But anyway, never mind.
Yeah.
It's different now, different times, different team, different manager.
Exactly. But yeah,
them days are gone. No more 5-1 defeats anywhere, let alone Anfield. Nowhere.
Oh yeah, 7 o'clock UK time tomorrow. There's quiz, and then about 7:30 on Monday night. Get ready for the Liverpool game, and then throughout the week I'll be doing the odd watch along, and I'll be because of the FA, because obviously the women done well tonight's FA Cup.
They're playing Thursday, aren't they?
Exactly the same.
Thursday, yeah, that's annoying, isn't it?
7 o'clock, BBC Two in the UK, and obviously Arsenal playing as well that night as well against Liverpool.
Yeah,
so
quarter way, isn't it? Watch the first half for the women, and then you got to watch. Oh, that's a nightmare. I have to put them both on at the same time.
Literally, I've got my TV. I have a TV on for the women's team
and the computer. Yeah, that's what I'm going to have to do. Yeah, I'm going to have to do that. Yeah,
my Thursday will be a double watch along. In one.
It'll be a double victory for Arsenal as well. That'd be nice.
Fingers
crossed. But yeah, so if you haven't already, but if you're watching us on YouTube, do subscribe to the channel if you're new. I noticed a few people have subscribed. That's fantastic. Spread the word. Yes, and smash the like button as well, and hit them. When you do subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss the things like tomorrow night's show, which will be a lot of laughs along the way. Trust me.
Yeah,
always a lot of laughs.
It's always good fun.
And if you're watching this on my Facebook page, Mr. Arsenal Podcast, do like the page, this, that, and the other, and obviously come over to the Arsenal YouTube channel as well and subscribe to us here. But yeah, until then, enjoy the rest of your evening, guys, and see you tomorrow. And as always, up the Arsenal.
Come on, guys.
Cheers, lads. Nice fun.